Alright guys, welcome back for a year of painting day 136 to 137. This will be the Blood Bowl wrap-up video, I'm calling it, because in the foreseeable future anyway, I will not have any more Blood Bowl to paint. And it's the last video before we dive headfirst into the vampires of the Soulblight Gravelords. So, starting off with the Black Orcs. This was the Black Orc team as well as 2 referees, but first with the Black Orcs themselves. I started with Orc flesh on their skin, and then to make their skin a little bit darker, I did Creed camo over the top of that. Then for their armor, I did Black Templar. I was really happy with how smooth I was able to get the Black Templar. Sometimes contrast paint can be a little tricky to get smooth, but it worked out great. So I was quite happy with that. Then the leather I did in snakebite leather. So that's like the belts and stuff. Then their pants I did in Yen yellow. And then all the silver is Grey Knight steel. And the horns were in Rakarth flesh. Then I went back and I used some, what is this color? Uriel yellow to do the stripes on the shoulder pads, the edging on their gloves, as well as to paint on their pants to make them much more vibrant yellow. Then I went over the silver with Nuln Oil. I went over the horns with Skeleton Horde, and then dry brushed the tips of them with Screaming Skull. I did their nails in that same color combination as well. Then I did their eyes with first a speck of Mephiston Red, and then a speck of Fire Dragon Bright. And then for the boss guy here, whose name escapes me, there were a couple more details on him. So the zombie on his back I just did in Plaguebearer Flesh with some Magos Purple mixed in a couple places. And then the plume on his head I did in Gryph-Charger Grey. Then onto their bases, which is the same for both these guys and the next guys, who are the goblins that I'll talk about. That was Armageddon Dust, first of all. Then Agrax Earthshade on top of that. Then a couple tufts, mountain tufts I believe, from Army Painter. And then some Valhalla Blizzard on top of that. Painted the base rims black and called it a day on those. So then, next day onto the goblins. And these I did the black and the yellow, as well as the leather, the exact same way. But these guys' skin is obviously different. So the skin I did in Aethermatic Blue. And then some Fenrisian Gray, just on the bigger muscle structures, just to flatten the color out a little bit so they weren't so vibrant. Then a couple individual details. The scorpion that the one guy is holding, I did in Gryph-Charger Orange. And I think that was it on these guys. And then I did the bases the exact same way. Painted the base rims black, and then that was it for that day. So then, on to the referees. So the first one was the Elf referee. And I had painted a Elf team, an Elf Union team previously in this red color scheme. And so this was going to be their coach instead of a referee. So I did the robe in Mephiston Red. I did his shoes in Wildwood. His skin in Guilliman Flesh. His hair in Skeleton Horde. I find that makes a really nice blonde color. And then the feather in his hand in Gryph-Charger Grey, and the parchment on his belt as well as the card he's holding up in Agros Dunes. Then I went back with some layer paint, and I highlighted the parchment and the card with Screaming Skull. I highlighted the feather with Pallid Witch Flesh. I used some Aethermatic Blue on his eyes, just like I did with the others. I used some Retributor armor on his belt buckle there in the middle. And then I highlighted, or first I shaded his robe with Carroburg Crimson, and then I highlighted it with some Trollslayer Orange. Then I painted the base Warboss Green for a nice green underneath the static grass. Then PVA glue, green static grass, painted the base rim black, and again, called it a day. So then, finally, day 139, painted the Dwarf referee. This guy I actually painted as a referee. So, started off with Fireslayer Flesh for the skin. Then, once that was dry, I dry brushed Cadian Flesh Tone over the top of that. Then Griffcharger Orange for the... Griffhound Orange, rather, for the beard. And then highlighted that with Fire Dragon Bright. I painted the books various colors. I used contrast paint for all of them. One's green, one's blue, one's red. Then I did the main book in Gorgrunta Fur. I did all the leather in Snakebite Leather. And all the pages of the books in Skeleton Horde. Then I did the whistle in Grey Knight Steel. And then as well as the lock on the book. And then the seal on the book and the inkwell in Retributor Armor. I did the feather in the inkwell, the exact same as on the elf, so Griffcharger Grey, followed by Pallid Witchflesh. And then the only thing that was left was his main outfit, and I did this last because I knew it was going to be a pain, so I wanted to save it till the end, so all the other colors were done, and as soon as I was done with that, the miniature was done. So, first I painted Black Templar on his shoes and on his clothes. Then I took some Pallid Witchflesh and carefully just striped in the stripes. Thankfully, his clothing is rather rippled in a lot of places, so if the stripes are a little wonky, they sort of just follow those ripples, and it turns out okay. Then I did the base the same way as the base of the elf, painted the base in black, and called it a day. And that's it. So that was the last 4 days of painting Blood Bowl. Like I said, pretty much done with Blood Bowl at this point, until I get another commission possibly, but none in the foreseeable future. So now we can pile straight into Soulblight Gravelords. This video is coming out on May 21st. Swiftly following this one will be a video on the very first Soulblight Gravelord model that I'm painting, which is a Blood Knight. He's just drying just in front of me here. So that video is coming right now, and tomorrow the video for Laukavai, Mother of Nightmares comes out. So thank you everybody for watching, and I will see you next time.